Picture this. Yoda, the wise pint-sized Jedi Master, the beacon of hope for the galaxy, falls to the dark side. What happens next? Does he become the ultimate Sith Lord, plunging the galaxy into chaos? Or does he twist his power into a warped version of peace? Stick with me as we dive deep into the Star Wars lore to explore this mind-blowing what-if scenario. Trust me, you're not ready for how insane this gets. Yoda is already one of the most powerful Force users in Star Wars history. At 900 years old, he's mastered techniques most Jedi can only dream of. But what happens when that mastery is corrupted by the dark side? Let's break it down. According to the Jedi Path and Master and Apprentice, Yoda's connection to the Force is unparalleled, rooted in centuries of meditation and study. His ability to manipulate the Force is almost instinctual. Think lifting Luke's X-Wing with barely a sweat in Empire Strikes Back. Now imagine that power amplified by the dark side's raw, unchecked energy. The dark side, as explained in Darth Plagueis, thrives on passion and aggression. Yoda, who's always suppressed his emotions, would unleash centuries of pent-up feelings, anger, fear, even regret over the Jedi's failures during the Clone Wars. A dark side Yoda could wield Force abilities we've never seen. Picture him combining his telekinetic prowess with Sith sorcery, conjuring illusions or manipulating minds on a planetary scale. In the Clone Wars Season 6 Sacrifice, Yoda faces visions of the dark side on Moraband, resisting temptation, but if he gave in, he might master techniques like Force Drain or even Essence Transfer, as Darth Bane did in the Bane trilogy. His small stature, irrelevant. The dark side would make him a whirlwind of destruction. Let's compare Yoda to Darth Sidious, the gold standard for Sith power. Sidious, per Revenge of the Sith and The Rise of Skywalker, could manipulate midichlorians, unleash Force storms, and dominate entire battlefields. Yoda, with his deep Force knowledge, could match or surpass this. His agility, seen in his duel with Dooku in Attack of the Clones, would be enhanced by the dark side's rage, making him untouchable in combat. Mentally, the dark side might fracture Yoda's wisdom, turning his cryptic speech into chilling, manipulative rhetoric. Imagine Yoda's voice now dripping with menace, saying, "Powerful the dark side is. Join me, you must." A dark side Yoda would be a catastrophe for the Republic. In The Phantom Menace, Yoda senses the Sith's return, but can't pinpoint it, showing his limitations. As a Sith, he'd exploit this blind spot, infiltrating the Senate or even turning Jedi against each other. The Republic's enemies, like the Separatists, would either bow to him or be crushed. Yoda's influence over the Jedi Council is immense. A corrupted Yoda could dismantle it from within, making Order 66 look like child's play. This isn't just a power boost, it's a galactic paradigm shift. Yoda's fall would rewrite the roles of the Force, but what happens when he faces the galaxy's heroes? Let's find out. Now, let's get into the action. What happens when Darkside Yoda steps into the arena? We're imagining two epic scenarios. Yoda versus a Jedi and Yoda versus Darth Vader himself. Let's say Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka's skilled, but Yoda's darkside powers would overwhelm her. In Ahsoka, she struggles against Force users like Baylan Skoll. Dark Yoda would exploit her emotional ties to Anakin, taunting her with visions of his fall, a tactic Sith like Dooku used in Tales of the Jedi. Yoda's lightsaber skills, already legendary, would be fueled by rage, making his Ataru form unstoppable. Ahsoka might survive longer than most, but she'd be outmatched. The psychological toll alone, facing her former Grand Master as a Sith, would break her resolve. Now the big one, Darkside Yoda versus Darth Vader. In Empire Strikes Back, Yoda trains Luke to face Vader, implying he understands Vader's strengths and weaknesses. As a Sith, Yoda would exploit Vader's emotional turmoil, his guilt over Padme, his hatred for Obi-Wan. Vader's raw power, as seen in Rogue One, is immense, but Yoda's Force mastery would outclass him. Imagine Yoda levitating Vader's TIE fighters, crushing them mid-air, or using Force lightning to short-circuit Vader's suit. Vader might land a few blows, but Yoda's speed and cunning would dominate. The Darth Vader comics show Vader's vulnerabilities. Yoda would exploit them mercilessly. This clash would reshape the galaxy. If Yoda defeats Vader, he'd challenge Sidious for Sith supremacy, potentially sparking a new Sith civil war. If Vader wins, the Emperor would face a fractured empire, as Yoda's influence could inspire rebellions. In The Rise of Skywalker, the Sith thrive on betrayal. Yoda's ambition might destabilize the role of two, creating chaos. The galaxy's fate hangs on who emerges victorious. This isn't just a fight, it's a galactic turning point, but what does Yoda's fall mean for the Jedi and the Force itself? Yoda's fall wouldn't just be a personal tragedy, it'd be a seismic shift for the Jedi Order and the galaxy's future. Let's unpack the fallout. The Jedi Order, already weakened by the Clone Wars, would collapse under Dark Yoda's influence. In the High Republic, Yoda's leadership stabilized the Order. As a Sith, he'd use that authority to corrupt or destroy it. Younglings like those in Attack of the Clones would either join him or perish. Survivors like Obi-Wan or Mace Windu might form a resistance, but Yoda's intimate knowledge of Jedi tactics would make him unstoppable. The Order's legacy would be one of betrayal, not hope. Yoda's fall challenges the Jedi core beliefs. In The Last Jedi, Luke questions the Jedi's rigidity, and Yoda's own doubts in the Clone Wars shows he's not immune to questioning. A dark side Yoda might argue the Jedi's detachment caused their downfall, embracing the dark side as a path to balance. This mirrors Sith philosophy in Darth Plagueis, where the dark side is seen as a natural force. Ethically, Yoda's actions would force the galaxy to confront whether power justifies morality. Could Yoda be redeemed? In Return of the Jedi, Vader's redemption shows even Sith can be turned back to the light. Yoda's deep connection to the Force, seen in his communion with Qui-Gon in the Clone Wars, suggests a spark of light could remain. Perhaps Luke, guided by Force ghosts, could reach Yoda's buried conscience, reminding him of his 900 years as a Jedi. But redemption would come at a cost, likely Yoda's life, as seen with Vader. The galaxy might heal, but the scars of his betrayal would linger. Yoda's legacy as a Sith would be a tragedy, but it opens up profound questions about the Force. So let's wrap this up. So, what have we learned? A dark side Yoda would be a force of nature, wielding powers that rival Sidious, crushing Jedi and Sith alike, and reshaping the galaxy in his image. His fall would expose the fragility of the Jedi Order, and the seductive pull of the dark side, but it also reminds us of the Force's complexity. Light and dark aren't just good and evil, they're two sides of a cosmic coin. Yoda's story, even in this what if, shows us that no one is above temptation, and redemption is always possible. What do you think? Could Darkside Yoda rule the galaxy, or would someone stop him? And who would it be? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you liked this deep dive, and subscribe for more Star Wars what ifs. I hope you've been enjoying my short transmissions. More to come this week. Until then, I will see you next time.